Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. We gave you an episode drop earlier this week, a brand new series created by Super Kevin Campbell, and we are here to now debate your comments. And let me tell you, there are quite a few in our YouTube comments section. So let's roll. We're wasting no time today.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
I can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me now? It's like the old commercial. We'd make a fortune, Kev. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
This expensive mic screws me up every now and again.
Hey, listen, it's technology. It's all right. Let's not debate mics. Let's not debate mics.
Yeah, especially magic ones.
Yeah.
So listen, Kev, here we are. They may dress up for the US presidential debates, but here we are tonight, inspired by you on Dickie Bow. Is that velvet, Kev? That velvet?
I brought the velvet out for the fans. It is international break. And you know what? So big shout out to little Soph, who's convalescing after her operation. We wish you well. So you know what? A little bit of smoothness for little Soph. And the pink shirt with the black Dickie. There you go.
I love
black
it.
Dickie bow. Yeah.
Now
You're looking sharp, by the way.
Thank you,
I
Kev.
mean, look at the hostess with the mostest, Sophie. Brilliant.
I mean, the fringe has gotten a bit long, and I'm sure I'll hear about that from the squaddies. But yeah, the tie. This is from a company in Croatia that make ties especially for women. Kev,
Right,
wonderful
nice
company, and I have a few of them. And back in the old film industry days when I was looking after the likes of Brad Pitt and Adam Sandler, I'd whip these on. You know what I'm saying? So
nice one. Keep everything nice and corporate. I love it.
There was a time where I was very corporate, not so much these days. Thank you very much, Rich. Kev inspired the outfit today, I have to say. He did something very special for someone, and that's all I'm going to say about it. And I saw him wearing his pink shirt and his velvet Dickie bow. And I'm like, I'm not turning up for a debate underdressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I get that.
All right, Kev, we have been inundated. Oh, my gosh, Penelope Pit Stop.
Yeah, brilliant.
Do you remember that show, Kev?
Of course.
Oh, my gosh.
At ease, everybody. Listen, squaddies, let's get into it. We ain't got no time because...
Okay, so as you guys know, Kev devised a new show, The Debate. We drop an episode that's pre-recorded. And it's actually, I love it. It's so cool because we throw out the gauntlet. We talk about a subject and our YouTube comments drive this show. And let me tell you something. You guys heard us and you commented in your hundreds. I got DMs, I got emails and a lot of YouTube comments. But the goal is you put your comments on the YouTube channel and we read them out. Arsene Wenger, a hero of the Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion, for the first 10 years and debatable in the last 12 years. You guys have made your feelings very clear. And we said to you, the purpose of this show is we then read out your comments and the two of us debate them.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Thank you for everybody who left a comment. Thank you.
Kev, there's a couple of Bibles. Right.
No,
so
understood.
Okay. All right.
Understood.
I'm starting fairly bottom up with the first people that responded, right?
Yeah.
If we run out of time for any reason, we will do a follow-up show, okay? Okay, Priska N Cube. Wenger created his own downfall by trying to buy cheap players and selling players to fund the stadium. Shall I keep reading, or do you want to address?
No, keep going, because I think there'll be a few in there like that, wouldn't there? You know, there'll be a few who say things like that. Yeah.
And I hope you guys take this in the spirit. I'm reading them. These are fans who have taken their time to express their opinion as I'm reading them as they sent them. Okay. Archangel, who is my bodyguard on YouTube, I love him to bits. Wenger was a fraud. He should have gone when he was found out in 2008. He was a jumped up economist who got lucky inheriting the best defence in the Premier League and Bergkamp. He was also fortunate that he had his first pick on what was to become a golden generation of French players. A great scout, but a mediocre match coach who allowed players to get on with it, but was powerless to change the course of games. He was incapable of winning a European trophy because that requires tactical nous. Harsh words. This is from CM. This is the image. Remember when I picked the worst 11 ever? Yeah. And somehow Arteta ended up in there. CM wrote, Arteta is a spelling mistake for Coquelin. However you pronounce his name. Okay, Tabraz Rahman. Arsene should have been paid twice what he was getting if he had gone to Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Juve. He stayed too long because he was in a bubble like all the powerful people are. And he believed he could turn it around. He loved the club, but working under financial constraints because of the stadium debt and the influx of endless cash into Chelsea, Man United, Man City brought about challenges he never foresaw. He is a legend who got lost in his own world. But Arsenal owe this man for being the global club it has become. Our fan base is only rivaled by Manchester United. Newcastle, Leeds, Aston Villa, no other big club became as global as us two. That should be credited to Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger.
Winning teams. Yep. Winning teams. Listen, I understand it, obviously, Sophie, because when you are the two top teams and you're battling against Manchester United as that Arsenal team and you're beating them, so, you know, you're taking away from Sir Alex Ferguson what he demands. It was an incredible journey. And Arsene Wenger was at the forefront, obviously. Yeah, he did inherit that back five and some really top players. Of course he did. But he added a little bit of spice, didn't he? He added a little bit of pepper and seasoning. And not only did we have that back five, Sophie, we became an attacking juggernaut with some exceptionally gifted, some of our greatest ever players came in his era. So everything seemed to come together, obviously under his tutelage and management, which was incredible. So to say he's a fraud, I cannot agree with that, Soph. I cannot agree with fraud.
That's harsh words.
That's harsh. And maybe it's meant in a different kind of way to say, yeah, you done it one way, but when it really mattered, Sophie, and this is why this is the debate, when it really mattered, when, okay, prove yourself again. You built a team that can win, build another one. And to be fair, the second half of his career at Arsenal didn't quite go to plan at all, did it?
Yes. Guna in chat says the back five argument is poor considering, as Casey would know, we finished 10th and 12th before he came and that defence was getting on.
That does not...
I knew that you would have an issue with that
hold on. Let me just explain something. The key to that back five is they know how to win titles. That's the key. Not where they finished. The key is, do they know how to get over the line? Yes, they do. So it's not a poor argument at all, because they were the backbone of Arsene Wenger's early teams.
Okay, returning to the comments. This is Oopie89. It sucks because I started watching football around 2006 and I hadn't chosen a team until 2012. I love these kinds of comments, Kev, because we have a lot of seasoned fans. We have fans that were born in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s who listen to our show. Oopie says, I only chose Arsenal because my African friend talked me into it. We have a really big audience here, by the way, you guys. We have wonderful listeners in Africa, and Arsenal Football Club have huge support in Africa. Yeah. He goes on to say, I got really intrigued when Alexis came in. It's been a shit show ever since. The second place finish to the Foxes. Wenger was the reason I started liking Arsenal, and I'm not experienced to know all of these things. But having all this laid at my front door, everything makes sense on how we got here. So can we really blame Kroenke for everything? It seems Wenger chose the direction of the club, and the club just followed. I loved this comment from a new fan. Really very good. Interesting angle, Super Kev, because a lot of the time, the Kroenkes, and rightly so, get blamed for a lot of things, but in their inexperience of owning an English football team, who was really driving the bus?
And listen, Arsene Wenger was the driver of the bus. And you have to trust the person who's been most successful. Sophie, that's who you're going to trust, is the manager. And let's be honest, the fan base, the majority of the fan base had ultimate trust in Arsene Wenger. They did, because of what he'd done. Let's be honest, the issues we have, Soph, is sometimes we're too close. We're too close on the inside. We're fans and we love him, etc., etc. But now that obviously water's passed under the bridge, and we take a step back and we look at actually what's gone on, Soph. Alexis Sanchez, Ozil, that team were good enough to be champion if, and I'm sure we'll cover this, if we'd addressed our problems. We had two real problems. One was centre-half and one was centre midfield, Soph. And Arsene Wenger never addressed those problems, unfortunately. And I don't know why. Because he knows what it takes to win.
Okay. This is Spinneroonie Jake. Money was spent. Major money wasn't spent until too late. The Robots Will Eat You, who is also in live chat right now, sent an absolute Bible. It is so long. I think it would take up the whole show if I read it. It's really long.
Can you pick some points out?
I'm going to pick some points out because he is in live chat. And the Robots Will Eat You. I love that you spent all the time to send this message. And if you want to put in a couple of comments in the live chat, I will put them in the live chat. I'm going to read the first paragraph. Look, to say Arsene stayed the club because of money, I find is completely out of order. I believe that was my comment. You think he wouldn't have gotten similar money at Real Madrid? He could have been fired within 8 to 1 year at Real Madrid. The Robots Will Eat You. The debate is on. You say he stayed because the job was easy at Arsenal at that time. Yes, he had it very easy in his last 12 years. The job may not have been easy, but he had it easy. How could it have been easy reaching top four with next to no proper talent because you had to sell every star he produced season after season and hit top four while Chelsea had had Roman Abramovich and City had the Arab owners. United were on the up and the fan base was constantly divided. The truth is the Premier League has become more competitive now. There's been an influx of money now for all teams when it comes to TV rights. There's parachute money as well. There is no way you can look at the competitiveness of teams' money spent in the Premier League now compared to when Arsene Wenger was managing the club at that time. Kev, do you agree or disagree with me on that front?
I agree. I totally agree. The Premier League wasn't what it is now. That's for sure. It's a lot stronger now. A lot stronger. And you just need to, I always say, Sophie, it's the players that do the business. You look at those squads. You look at the Arsenal squads, people, that were finishing in the top four. And you look at what's around now. It's chalk and cheese, I tell you. Real chalk and cheese.
Let me carry on and read this a little bit more. You think if he had stepped down and gone to manage the France national team, he wouldn't have done better at the 2012 or 2014 World Cup? Come on now, behave. We don't know that. We don't know how he would have done. But I will give Robots this. He definitely should have left earlier. He became stale. The advantages he had when he was new here, like the knowledge of French youngsters and the science behind eating and all that, had gone. He was on a level playing with the other top managers, but he also didn't have the money that other top clubs did. Not to the extent where a poor signing could just be binned off and another signing made. He made some shit signings, Robot. And you know what? Credit to him. We did qualify for the Champions League with the Gervinhos and the Shamaks of the world and whatever. But at the same time, the Leicesters of the world, the West Hams of the world, these other teams that have risen, you know, they weren't there at that time. It was always Liverpool. Not even Liverpool were making the Champions League with Steven Gerrard at that time. It was Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and then Manchester City came along at some point. And thanks, Robots, putting your comment up here. Go on, Kev.
So can I just say this? Qualifying for the Champions League is not good enough for Arsenal Football Club, is it? When you qualify every year for the Champions League, is it about qualifying for the Champions League and not ever going on to try and win the trophy? Is that okay?
We never had any intention of winning it. We got battered and bitch slapped by Barcelona and Bayern Munich every single season.
Getting battered. Is that all right? Again, the same fans who say about, you know, settling for mediocrity. Is that not settling for mediocrity, Soph? Just qualifying for the Champions League so it's okay? That ain't good enough for Arsenal in my eyes.
I agree. If you guys want to read Robot's entire thread, please go to the YouTube channel from the show the other day. I mean, he talks about players, signings, the money, the bullshit, all of it. It's and he says at the end, he says that Wenger out during those times, but to condemn him at the end of a 45-minute video is proper revisionist, ungrateful, short-sighted, unintelligent, and clearly shows you both need to think and talk this through, and that video will take effing hours. Let me tell you something, okay? This is what I love about our show and what we do. We're never afraid to read those types of messages out, ever. Never afraid.
And listen, the fact that Soph, let's be honest, the fact he's our greatest manager doesn't mean we can't look back and see where he could have been even more successful. Because all managers make mistakes. All of them do. And because he's been successful mostly in the first part of his career, doesn't mean we can't look at the second part, because we're the Arsenal. We want to be the best and we want to be number one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not revisionist. Don't a point on the show. And I gave an ending that talked about a relationship, a 22-year relationship. We've all been in relationships that work and don't work. And at the beginning, it's meals and boons and love and all this stuff. I explained that the other day. And you try to cling on to that when it's not working. And then when you cling on too long, it just ends ugly. The first 10 years were beautiful. The last 10 to 12 years were not. And some fans, and I was having this debate, if you'd have been in, there's the WhatsApp group that we were in the other day, someone like Russell Hogg absolutely believes in his heart Herbert Chapman is the greatest manager, George Graham is second, and Arsene Wenger is third. Now, he's an older fan, but he's still young enough to know and see what the modern game is offering and does. And, you know, our opinions all matter and they're all differing count, yeah. and they all count. So let's continue reading. And thank you so much. Whether we agree or disagree, Robots, that was a really good post.
Yeah, great post.
Elite Alpha Male. Oh, hello.
There we go. Come on then.
Do you think after the 2006 Champions League final, Wenger should have gone? First had conflicting feelings towards Wenger when he took Pires off. We'll never forget that. 2011 against Birmingham, I wanted Wenger gone, and that was the finale for me. Do you think he would have won the Premier League sooner? Kev?
Look, for me, not after the Champions League final. There was a big disappointment. I think the referee conspired to actually do us in, because I think if we'd had 11 men, we'd have won the final. But for me, Soph, it was prime for that squad. You knew you got there now. You know how to get there. You make a couple more additions, strengthen that squad, and you go on again. That was the key for me. You go on again. Still had trust in the manager because of what he done. Losing to Birmingham was an absolute joke, wasn't it? It was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. The Robots Will Eat You comes back with, how can you say Graham was better? I never said he was. I told you a fan said he was. How can you say Graham was better than Wenger when Graham was stuffing brown envelopes in the back room? Do you know how many people stuff envelopes? These agents today. Why didn't Wenger want to deal with certain agents, Kev? Why didn't he want to deal with certain agents?
Sophie.
I could have signed Mbappe, could have signed Ronaldo, could have signed Benzema.
Sophie, the problem is, on a football level, you can't talk about brown envelopes when you're talking about a manager.
Yes.
You can't, because you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on now. You don't know what's going on then. He got caught. Yeah. Understood. But he still produced from nothing where Arsenal were languishing. I have to defend him because I'm one of his players that came through the ranks.
We were garbage, Kevin, before he came.
Listen, going to Highbury before him was not a nice experience. There was around 20-odd thousand at the Arsenal. Slow hand clap, Sophie.
It wasn't
a nice place. It wasn't a nice place.
No. We're not ungrateful, Charm. Ungrateful fans ripping Wenger are the same who pining for Arsenal to get back into Europe, the same thing that was looked down upon. Mikel Arteta kicked us out of Europe. Hadn't happened since the Wenger years. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what you're saying there. No one's ungrateful. We're having a debate about
nobody is ripping Mr. Wenger. But what you can't do, Sham, is you can't say we cannot look back at our football club and see, okay, you say we're not in Europe now, but the decline came way before.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Let's Johnny Boy. Wenger added something to the Premier League experience itself. What influence did Wenger have on the Premier League product? So a lot of people have talked about him changing the Premier League, Kev. Mm-hmm. I think Sir Alex Ferguson changed the Premier League. Arsene Wenger changed how players behave and how champagne football became part of the Premier League. He revolutionized it all to the point where other teams followed. 100% a trailblazer.
Yep.
Jack Walker changed the Premier League with spending and Blackburn Rovers.
Yep.
There have been a few trailblazers. Pep Guardiola took what Wenger did and Sir Alex did to another level with Manchester City with the style of football. Jurgen Klopp has also done that. So in the early days of the Premier League, in 92, I worked on the first ever DVD, the first ever season review DVD. If you guys own it, I wrote the copy on the back of it when I was working for 20th Century Fox. We had the rights to releasing all of the season end reviews. And it was Man United for a long time. It was Blackburn Rovers that came in with the money, Kev. There have been a lot of stories and transitional phases in the league when it comes to who has had an impact and a footprint on our game.
100%. Also, I think it's the way Arsene Wenger done it. You know, he took those Arsenal players who had lost, maybe a little bit rudderless, because they'd lost George Graham, had gone, obviously, you know, and then Bruce Rioch had gone, etc. He came in, and somebody put in the chat that you put up, he put the world-class players in position. But we've got to remember, they weren't world-class when he got them.
No, they weren't.
They were young, hungry players who weren't starters. That's the important part. So the way he done it and having that knowledge of French football, etc., it all came together in a beautiful way. It really did. It came together in a beautiful way. And then as you move forward, when we leave Highbury, that's when the slippery slope starts.
Yeah, he's a revolutionary. He was a trailblazer. He did things that people were like, what? What's this? And, you know, trailblazers also either stick with the times and evolve with the times, or they don't. Sir Alex Ferguson was a winner, not a trailblazer, if you like. Wenger was a trailblazer who became a winner, but Sir Alex Ferguson adapted to the evolution.
Like all good managers do.
Right. Yeah. And I think that is a bit of a difference. Right, Kevin Rogers, there were times when the money was not available as the new stadium had to be paid for. This is not what the fans were told when we left Highbury. Wenger is just being honest when he should have left much earlier, as he is looking back on the situation. He could have got huge money wherever he chose to go. And like it or not, football is built on money now. It's a business over sport, unfortunately. Andy W says, for me, I loved Arsene because he changed football. The problem with other managers had to adapt to Wenger, but then Wenger stood... He's making my point, stood solid while football changed around him. He became so typically stubborn and arrogant, he refused to change. You say the sky is blue, but he would say it's green. He was lucky coming in with that back five. He was crap at buying top central defenders. He bought well before the others caught up.
Good point. It's a good point.
Kev, I'll keep reading. This is Suraj. Number one, Wenger spent 20 plus years, won 3 EPL titles, never won a European title, refused to get players he needed, not because of money, but in my opinion, because of arrogance. For example, Almunia being our number one he signed him because we couldn't afford better. Getting Kallstrom, who was injured, to replace an injured player on the pound saga with Suarez, that was the lowest blow. Wenger never wanted to leave because more would have been expected of him at other clubs. If he'd gone to Real Madrid or elsewhere, he would have been fired. He was at Arsenal holding on to Diaby, made Arteta a DM, who at Everton played for years as anything but that, and choosing to do things that simply failed the eye test. And then he says, yes, Kev, Arsene should have left the club in a better state than he joined it, but for over a decade, he oversaw its decline. Now coming out with the Invincible video to celebrate his legacy means a sequel needs to be made, highlighting the years of the period titled Despicable. Wow.
Well, again, how many, obviously, Arsene Wenger's first half of his tenure was incredible, but how many managers, Soph, could survive 9 years without winning a trophy?
You would never at Man United, you would never at Liverpool, you would never at even Tottenham, you would never at Manchester City, you would never at Chelsea, and even at Leicester now. Let's just say Brendan Rodgers finished 15th, he'd be out, he'd be fired.
But that's the question I have to the people in chat and people watching, because 9 years without winning a trophy at Arsenal, obviously he'd earned so much kudos for the first part of his managerial career, Sophie. The key to it is this, Sophie. Why did he stay all those years without winning anything and not really improving the team? Because realistically, if you know you're going to be hamstrung by money, what's the first thing you do? If you move into a new house and you haven't really got the money, but it's going to take a bit of time, you take your time to put the pieces in place, don't you? You say, right, you're going to do the kitchen first, or you're going to do the bedroom first, or you're going to do the bathroom. And then when you take it bit by bit by bit by bit. But for years, we know we needed a centre-half and a central midfielder, defensive midfielder. But top class, Soph, not just someone who could play there. We needed dominant. And we never addressed it.
Yeah. Sorry, just DVD existed in the 90s. VHS tape first and then the DVD, yes. But just go you know, if you want to poo-poo the work, that's fine.
Yeah, don't worry. VHS was out. Yeah. I've got the 92 for 92 still. Don't worry about that.
92, 93 season. Check it out. Yeah. Simi says, doesn't it always seem to go this way? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. And Archangel's response was, you do if you're old enough to make valid comparisons to that. We're all old enough to make comparisons and comments. Age doesn't matter a thing. And I love you, Archangel. But people who look back now, I'm going to end the show with this because there are a couple things that are really bugging me. Do you really want Wenger to come back and undermine Edu and Arteta's work? He should come back like Ferguson. Ferguson, his presence undermines Ole. You don't think that Ferguson in the stands riles up United fans, and when they see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer floundering right now for United, talk to him, bring him back, this, and this. You want to talk about revisionist history? Do you want to... And Arteta says, I want Wenger to come back. Really? He wants him to come back as a guest.
Yeah, he wants him to come back to the stadium and get the accolade that he deserves. Not to be overlooking him. No chance.
No, not at all. And we'll talk about that at the very end. John Tan says, Arsene should have left when his preferred 4-4-2 wasn't working anymore. He fell apart when Mourinho came in with the 4-2-3-1 and the modern day 4-3-3. It was painful to see him try and adapt and copy other people's formations. Results were poor. It was always the players he brought in focusing on attacking flair and creativity. You've talked about that a lot, Kev. Mm-hmm. Thunderboot says, in my opinion, I don't think there will be a manager to single-handedly who has transformed a club. It's culture, playing style. Yes, Arsene Wenger got a solid back, but remember, they were fading and he rejuvenated them. There's no doubt about that, Thunderboots, that he did. He brought in Sol Campbell. Sol Campbell changed everything, to be honest with you. Gave them additional years. He then built a new back four, and that back four, along with the rest of the team, were invincible. After that, what he has done, I do not like anyone taking pot shots at him. No one's taking pot shots.
You're telling the truth. We're telling it like it is. So let me ask you this. 9 years without a trophy is okay. Because we finish in the top four. That's okay. See, and you know what, Sophie? A lot of Arsenal fans, say, mediocrity. Qualifying for the Champions League is not a trophy.
Kev, why do people all of a sudden think that Cruyff didn't undermine Pep when he was appointed as a club? That Cruyff was part of... Cruyff as a player... The invention of total football, his complete,
his philosophy,
and everything.
Was
Wenger
the driver.
Was a don at Arsenal. He changed a lot about English football. He elevated our club. But in a time where people ridiculed him, fans flying planes over the stadium, Wenger out signs. Are you guys forgetting all of this stuff? Arteta and Edu need to just move this club forward.
Clean slate, move forward.
Why would you want him in an advisory role or a mentor role? Arteta doesn't need him as a mentor. He's already his mentor. And this isn't us like hating on Wenger. This is us just saying, when we're moving forward as a club right now and we're doing all of these things, I understand people saying at the Wenger film, like extend the olive branch. That's why Vinay was there, Edu and Arteta. For him to come back and sit in the stands and be welcome.
Great. Perfect.
And you guys know I've not been an Arteta fan. And I tell you something, I do not want Wenger coming in to undermine Arteta right now. Not for a second.
Lone Star, very true. Arteta needs to forge his own path. Very true.
Fuzzy Wuzzy says, well, Soph, I love the fact Arsenal matters so much to you. The passion, it's great. The fact you put the work into this forum with Kev and the other guests and contributors, etc. It's really good stuff. But now for the but. When you back what you say with, we say it is. The problem is what you're saying is how you see it. It's your interpretation. Some of it may be fact, but often the glue around it or attachments to it are not. It's not the word, but doing so, if it is, also every now and again, lines get crossed in what you say. You mentioned about the personal attacks on Wenger not being right, yet some of the things you say cross that line. Just listen back to yourself. This is another Bible. You can go online and read it. Listen, I love Arsene Wenger. I respect everything he's done for the club. But my opinion is he stayed too long and he had 10 brilliant years, and the latter 12 years in the Premier League were average. Our goal was to qualify for the Champions League and make it fiscally responsible for the club. We never, ever, ever had an intention of winning the Champions League. He may have in his mind, through his arrogance, thinking he could win it with Gervinho and Shamak. But we were never going to do that, and we got battered. So don't tell me that we had intention to win the Champions League as a club. And don't look back now and say, this coulda, shoulda, woulda. When we were getting battered, all of you, including me, were like, this is embarrassing. It's humiliating. How long can this go on for? Kev?
Yep, 100%. Again, I think I said it in our first recording that don't forget there were times where we used to go to our rivals and we used to get blown away in the first 20-25 minutes. You know, my worst experience was losing 8-2 at Old Trafford as a Gooner. That was my worst. And for those who say, you know, Arsene Wenger's done this, done that, he has done it. But the fact of the matter is, just qualifying for the Champions League isn't being a winner. And people talk about they want the Arsenal to be up there challenging. Who are we challenging?
Exactly. And Crook, thank you. I don't like the fact that some Arsenal fans make you feel as though you can't criticise managers, current or ex. We paid them. They get paid because of us, because of season ticket holders, because of international fans around the world who buy merch, because of fans in England who buy merch. They work for us. It's okay to criticize them and at the same time respect them for what they have done. Right, we'll keep going, Kev.
Yep.
Arsenal stopped being a football club and became an entertainment business in the second half of Wenger's reign. That's from Armchair Supporter. Ashton says, Wenger overstayed his welcome, especially after the 2014 FA Cup. I'm disappointed that he never came out after his book speaking the truth, but what really happened during a time period when we were falling giants. And this is why we're doing the show today. The Wenger Invincible film has come out. The book has come out. The debate show is all about, and there's going to be plenty of subjects. And we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly across the board, you guys. The point of this debate is this week there's been a lot of lauding, and in my opinion, I feel like some people have forgotten about some of the ugliness. And you can look, Kev, go on. What's your take on that?
My take, I just wanted to interject and say some of the lauding is justified. Of course it is. He's our greatest manager. But there's two sides to every coin. And we can't just look at one side. We can't just look at the heads. We've got to look at the tails as well. That's why we have this platform. That's why this debate show is what it is. It's important to be able to go over stuff. This is what the fan base is. Listen, we know international break is boring anyway. That's why we do something like this so we can get our juices flowing. It's important.
Fatality DMB said Kallstrom should be in that team of duds instead of Arteta. Come on, Soph. I told you, and I apologise for that on the show. Hand up, yes, 100%.
You done it deliberately, so
see how easy that is. No, I took it from someone, and I told you who, and it was done before, and it was a joke. But anyway, yes, 100%. Please don't take that the wrong way. I agree with Kevin. Arsene should have left after the 2017 FA Cup win versus Chelsea. With how things were at that point, I think from both sides, 2017 was the right time to leave. In hindsight, yes, there were hard times and frustrations, but for me, the good he did heavily outweighs the bad. I'll always love and respect Arsene. He's simply class. By the way, I know the book wasn't as juicy as we'd all have liked, but I listened to the audiobook and was engrossed by every word by this incredible man. He has too much class and integrity to dish dirt on something he holds dear to his heart. Let me tell you something. This is my opinion, and I'd like Kevin to know. If you're at the top of a business, no matter what it is, sports, entertainment, industry, you name it, for that amount of time, you have to have ruthlessness in you, right? Mm-hmm. For me, Arsene Wenger is a teddy bear with a shotgun. He presents himself as who he is, but there's also a side to every person who lives at the top. Billionaires don't become billionaires because they're nice. Multi-millionaires don't become multi-millionaires because they're nice. Did you see what Zuckerberg did to his friends at Harvard to make Facebook? Do you think Bill Gates is nice? Kev?
Listen, ruthless streak is in them. And let's have it right. And look at the players. Look at the players that left Arsenal under Arsene Wenger. That's ruthless. That is ruthless. Players we should have kept because we want to be the best. But no, what happened? The ruthless streak kicked in and we sold them to our rivals. Think about it, people. We sold our best players to our rivals.
Robin Van Persie to Manchester United.
And then he goes and wins the Premier League title the next season. I mean...
And scores one of the greatest goals ever in Premier League history, that Rooney-Van Persie connection.
Yeah.
Okay, Demsek, visionary, accountant and control obsessed. Did I read this or no? Did I read? I don't think so. He changed the Arsenal and English football forever when all he had to do was run the team. He was a genius at getting the best out of players. Sadly, he saw the Arsenal and the Emirates as his club. Interesting. And need to have control on and off the pitch. The last 3 years of his management, you could see he struggled to keep the dressing room. He was no longer a draw to bring in new and better players at the club. Still one of the greatest ever Premier League and Arsenal managers. I agree. I think that's a good comment from Demsek. I agree with.
Really good. Yeah, bang on.
Miran says, Sophie often mentions Man City are a small club and how it's only clubs like Arsenal that have had multiple periods of success dotted throughout their history that can be categorized as big clubs. While this can be seen by listing out a club's achievement, it's also important to remember the individuals behind those achievements without whom the club's elevated stature would never have been attained. Arsenal continue to be a big club because of the manner in which Wenger achieved what he did, cementing Arsenal's place in folklore. It goes on and on and on. But he also says, I'm glad Sophie and Kevin didn't underplay Wenger's achievements. But while it's fair to question his post-Highbury years, I draw the line in doubting his motives. Kev, I think, depending on what your age, that transition for me started with Graham. Rioch in the middle, we just pushed to the side. Mm-hmm. Then Wenger. Those are the two managers that took Arsenal into a modern era of football.
Yeah, of course. And it brought the winning ways back to the club, Sophie. This is what we have to understand. Arsenal, you want to win. And if you want to be a winner, you have to have the players and you need someone who can build a plan for the players to execute. And we had both. George Graham came in. He came into a blank canvas, really. And he made it something. And Arsene Wenger, obviously after Bruce Rioch, took it and ran with it and made it even better. So he did. He made it even better until we left our home.
Yep.
And then the soul went out of us.
And BX Gunner, yep. Those two things. We sold Adebayor to City. We sold Nasri. We sold Fabregas to Barcelona. We sold Kleb to Barcelona. We sold Overmars. We sold Clichy to Manchester City.
Sanya. It goes on and on.
What other club has done this over and over and over again? And that was all under his watch. Don't mistake the glorious first 10 years. Legend. Did something absolutely incredible. Also, do not forget that George Graham was one game away from being invincible himself. He also won a European trophy and he won the League Cup in a much more compact time than Wenger had at the Arsenal. So please see it like turnkey if you can. I'm not shitting on Wenger.
Not at all.
I'm just speaking my truth, whether you agree or disagree with it. Kev, you were in that team.
Which is why it's a debate.
Kev,
yeah, go on. Yeah.
You were in that team. One game.
Yep. At Chelsea away. And we were decimated with injuries and ended up, Dave Illia played centre-half. I think it was the second half. He played centre-half against Chelsea. And we ended up losing the game. And we were sick. We were sick. You know, to go invincible. Obviously, it was the old First Division then, Sophie. So even now, it wouldn't get the accolades that obviously the Invincibles who've done it, who are an incredible side. Obviously, incredible side. You know, fair play to them. They've got the gold trophy. But I particularly remember that team being devastated because we knew we could do it, basically. We knew we could do it. But we just missed out on that. Both our centre-halves weren't there. You struggled.
Funny from Stephen. No Laguna. Hey, babe, how you doing? Damn Hillier. We'll tell him that on Tuesday when he's back for the Tuesday-ish club. So if you say you love Wenger, but everything you say seems to whitewash his legacy, I appreciate your opinion. Can't you differentiate between, for example, Jose Mourinho? Chelsea fans, you don't think they loved him for what he did at the club? What he infused? Mourinho brought a whole... Don't forget Mourinho today. When he arrived on that stage and he's like, I'm the special one, he changed English football for a while. Mm-hmm. Chelsea fans loved him.
Of course.
When he did what he did and he humiliated a female medical expert and left the way he did, do you think Chelsea fans respected him at that point? And then he goes to Tottenham and manages Tottenham. Do you think Arsenal fans were endeared to George Graham when he went and managed Tottenham? No. But you can love him for what he did and you can also criticize him for what he did too.
Two sides of the coin, Soph.
That's the difference. And that's the beauty of this show. Algerian Guna, welcome to the house. He was at the Arsenal women's show last night, women's game last night. He got a picture with Leah Williamson and his daughter, and now his daughter wants to be a soccer fan. We'll be talking to him in our next Arsenal women's show as well. Thanks for joining us. Here we go, Kev. There's so many. There's someone that actually says that you might have a beef with Arsene Wenger.
Bring it on. Let's hear it.
Kevin Campbell is a true gooner, says Canada Soccer, which is awesome. I'm trying to find it. Robin Rock says, top draw and honest debate discussion from the Highbury squad. Come on, you Gunners, says Robin Rock. Alexander Chris, Wenger needs some credit for reinventing that back five. Remember when we nearly went down on one occasion between GG and AW with those defenders in place? Daniela Rossetti, what a lovely name. Turning point came when David Dean left. Love your content. Keep up the good work. Zahid Siddiqui says Arsene overstayed his welcome. However, he's still our greatest manager. Furthermore, the abuse he got was disgusting. It was even enough to make him regret staying. Nobody should regret staying at the Arsenal. This is why I do not accept his comments where I accept them, where he said he should have left in 2011, Kev. The flying of the planes and the disgraceful behaviour, you and I think that's vile.
Disagree with it 100%. Should never have happened. And it was hard to see. It was hard to watch. And it was hard to take because he is our greatest manager. In majority of people's eyes of what he's done for the football club. You know, it was tough to take. I didn't like it at all. He deserved better.
Absolutely. I may have wanted him to go, but never, ever. Like after everything that he had done, would I ever be an abusive fan and act the way some other fans did.
Sophie, read that comment you just put on.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Sophie, if we had no Wenger when we lost the Invincible Bunch, where do you think we would be? We are 5 years without Champions League.
Question is, the Eddie 1401, because we qualified for the Champions League, where does that put us? And getting smashed every year in the Champions League.
So let me ask, and let's reverse the question. And by the way, Priska, we read your comment at the top of the show. Kev, the point was, okay, we understand the debt of moving to a new stadium. Totally get that, right?
Yeah.
But we also sold top dollar players at that period. But also, you know, getting into the Champions League, Mucho Mula was coming in.
Yeah.
And granted, sometimes we didn't get past the first knockout phase. But that Mucho Mula was not being reinvested in the squad, which was the purpose of finishing fourth every year.
Well, supposed to be, remember. And again, so this is where we were told, leaving Highbury, moving to the Emirates, that we would be moving to challenge the top teams. I understand the Abramoviches of this world are a different kettle of fish because they can pump their own money in.
Mm-hmm.
But the likes of Bayern Munich was mentioned to compete at that level. We never competed. When we played them, Sophie, what happened? We got smashed. As Terence Tibbs just said, we got smashed by everybody. That ain't competing.
Look, Robots is getting upset, Kev. Get over yourself, Kevin. The board and owners lied to us.
Yeah, they lied to us. I know that. I know they lied to us. But here's the issue. Here's the problem. People are still accepting we qualify for the Champions League. We qualify for the Champions League like it's a trophy. Like it's, yeah, good that we qualify for the Champions League. But you see, now that the league starts getting a lot more talent in it, look where we went to. Look how far we dropped.
Also, he's the one that gave Kolasinac, Sokratis, Mustafi, Ozil, all of those insane contracts. He and Gazidis. Dublin Gooner, we love you. This is not aimed at you guys, but I genuinely can't understand some of the debate in recent days. The worst he ever finished was 6th, and people talk like he choked their firstborn. The point is that, Dublin Gooner, he was given the keys to the kingdom. He was the Don. He was the decision maker.
So is 6 okay? So let's have this right then, Soph. From winning and being the best, Sophie, in his first part of his career, then to be 6 and qualify for the Champions League and never be anywhere near winning it, that's okay. That's all I want to establish.
Yeah, and this is what I also want to establish. Kenny, Highbury squad is trash today. That's your opinion. And also, K. Marlon, it's not a fair debate. Sophie and Kev are both against Wenger. You're missing the point.
How are we against him when we're saying he's our greatest ever manager? K. Marlon, how is it? He's our greatest ever manager. But we still can look at the back end of his career just the same way we talked about him winning double-doubles and being invincible and winning all the FA Cups and him being... You can't... A story isn't just the beginning and the middle. There's an ending as well. And we have to speak everything.
Yep, and so, as Trevor says, sometimes the truth hurts. And I'm putting these up for you, Kev, because I know you like to address them. Kev is so biased against Wenger. Not true. Did you not hear the example of Mourinho? Chelsea fans loved him before, now they hate him. Arsenal fans, we hated George Graham when he went to Tottenham.
I hated him. I hated him when he was at Spurs.
And he played for him. Come on, guys.
I love the man, but when he went there, I hated him. I'm not biased against Arsene Wenger. I think he's absolutely been brilliant for the football club. But I would tell it like it is, whether Rahul, you like it, or whoever likes it. I would speak my truth. It might not be yours, but I still believe if Arsene Wenger had signed a top centre-half and a top centre midfielder, we'd have won the league when Leicester won it.
Absolutely, 100% we would have done it. And the fact that we didn't win it that year, we failed. And people can talk about injuries all they like. Every single team deals with injuries. Be prepared for it. Universal Greek, Yasu Tiganis, Elpis Galanaise. Let's get this straight. We finished out the top 4 because of other teams' financial doping. You know what? That year where Leicester won, Spurs could have won it. We could have won it. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have talked about financial doping if we'd have won it, Universal Greek more.
There you go.
When Welbeck scored that header against Leicester at the Emirates, we all felt, oh my God, this is going to be it.
True. Very true.
And you're
momentum.
Right.
Momentum.
No excuses, Martin. We're the Arsenal Football Club. So, Kev, and yeah, this is our honesty. This is our truth. Some people may not want to hear it. And someone wrote a little while ago, put it up, that it's, it's tough to hear the truth sometimes. Uta B says, great manager in the early years outstayed his welcome. Kev, it's almost an hour in already, if you can believe it or not. This is Abiodun Odelay. With time, Wenger will appreciate that only a small and loud percentage of fans of the Arsenal abused him. They carried protest signs, flew disgusting planes. He will come to know that a larger portion of the supporters were more nuanced, mature, and reasonable. He never lost the fans or the dressing room. This is a great debate, good points made, normal to question, and be nuanced and realistic. Really enjoyed it, guys.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
Great Gunnar Chapman says he done an incredible job. I wouldn't swap his years for anything. What a shame he isn't welcome back after what he created. We've spent 400 million since he left. Time to respect his legacy and look at the future. Hopefully we can challenge like that again. Facts show since the Cronkies came in, it's been downhill all the way. Merci, Arsene Wenger. You are an Arsenal legend. He keeps telling us, you guys, he could have signed Mbappe, Ronaldo, Benzema.
So why didn't we? We as fans, we have to ask that question, don't we? Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Well, why didn't you?
And remember, everyone keeps showing me the stats of the first 50 games. George Graham's at the top. Mikel Arteta is second. Arsene Wenger is third or fourth, maybe.
Third, I think. I think he's
third. So, again, don't keep telling me who you could have signed. Why didn't you sign Mbappe then? If you think it's disgusting from me today and you're done, that's fine. I respect your opinion. Why can't you see the difference between... Kev, can you help me here? Can you help me here?
Of course I can.
Because I think I'm tired of my own voice.
Well, the thing is saying disgusting from Sophie. No, it's not disgusting, Kenny. Look, here's how the debate works. Sophie and I give our opinion. You guys give your opinion. But you can agree to disagree. If you don't like what we say, fine. But what's disgusting about saying what you feel? There is nothing disgusting. We're Arsenal fans here. We're Arsenal fans here. And a B.O.B. unbelievable level of disrespect for the disrespect.
We're lauding him for
saying that he's our greatest manager and his first part of his Arsenal tenure was absolutely fantastic. Groundbreaking, moved the goalpost. He done so much. But guys, come on. You cannot tell me the second half of Arsene Wenger's tenure was as good as his first. You cannot tell me that. And the fact of the matter is, that Arsene Wenger was the one who was in control. He was in control. Of course, we qualified for the Champions League because he's a great manager. He got players who think, well, how did we? You look at the teams and he's still qualified for the Champions League. But is that enough for being at the Arsenal?
Exactly. I love being in the Champions League every year, but after a while, I got scared of it. As a fan, I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. Same story.
Sophie, you know what I got fed up of? I got fed up of not competing at the top. We qualify for the Champions League, and then we get smashed. We get the floor. They wipe the floor with us. That isn't Arsenal. Arsenal, for me, having been on the inside, and now I'm here doing this, I love it. It's to be the best. That's what this club's about. It's about being the best or trying to be. And nobody could tell me, second half, we were trying to be the best team. We weren't. We were just making do. Qualifying for the Champions League like it's a badge of honor.
And Kev, this is the part, and we talked about this on our show previously, and I did on Lee's channel last night. Why can't we see things through our eyes, in the sense that for the first 15 months, I thought Arteta was not a great manager in the Premier League. He wasn't making good decisions. Why can't I now say, and I've always said, and if you guys can go back and listen to every show prior, I always said he needs to build a team in his image if he's going to succeed, like Klopp, like Pep, like Conte, like Simeone, like all of those managers, and then we'll know the kind of manager he is. But right now, he's a very average manager, and he's not great. Why can't I now compliment Arteta for what he's doing with his own players? Why can't I say Wenger's first 10 years were brilliant and genius and trailblazing and euphoric, gave me the best memories of my life, sitting in the North Bank as an Arsenal fan, crying when Ian Wright broke Cliff Bastin's record, tears in my eyes when we had our last game at Highbury, you know, European nights under the lights. But then why can't I also say, when we went to the Emirates, the money became the ball. The money became everything. We scrimped, we saved, we were poxy, we signed shit players, we sold our best players. Why can't I say that, Kevin?
You can, and you have, Sophie. It's not what a lot of people want to hear, but you are telling it like it is. And you know what? The truth tellers are often much maligned because they tell the truth.
I'm trying to find Priska, who's in the chat, says Arsene Wenger's still his hero. Simi Simpson says 42 minutes into the show on Tuesday, all of Sophie's points were valid. Alexander Crisp says, well done, great discussion. I was Wenger out for a long time and he left us in a mess, but those early days were magic, weren't they? Exactly, Alexander.
Exactly.
CM says the loss of David Dean was massive, especially for Arsene. The move to the Emirates finished an era. Wenger had good players and then didn't take them to the next level. He sold them to our rivals. He achieved with the team and he inherited and then he underachieved with his later teams. Poor recruitment, panic buys. Football
Sophie,
Library.
Sophie,
yes.
Can I just say this?
Yes, Kevin, you can.
For anybody who doesn't understand what David Dean stood for, is what we're discussing. He wanted Arsenal to be the best. And he would stop at nothing for Arsenal to be the best. And all we're saying is, second half of Arsene Wenger's tenure, where he had the reins, we weren't trying to be the best. We were surviving.
Kev, what do you think about Don's question? Because a lot of fans think this about him covering up for the board and the owners.
Hey, listen, if Arsene Wenger's covering up for anybody, he's part of it. Let's be honest. Because he could have walked. If he didn't agree with it, he could have walked. So let's have it right on 100 here. If he's covering up, then he's part of the problem.
And according to him, Kev, he could have left in 2011. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Stephen, there's so many comments flying. Stephen Foot, so many comments flying in chat. I don't know which comment you're talking about. Right. Let me try and get in a few. Mark, I think I read this. So many great points raised by Sophie and Super Kev. Agree with everything they said. This is our regular Mark Backridden. A definite correlation in the downturn of our fortunes when Gazidis got involved and not enough was done to keep our better players and allow them to leave to sign for our competitors and make them stronger. Negligent in our transfer policy. Kevin, this is the biggest beef I have. Is just I read out how many names?
You read out too many, Soph. And it's too many because they were our better players, Sophie. They were our better players in our team and our squad. And we sold them off.
Fabregas was our captain. RVP was our captain. And everyone says RVP wanted to leave, Kev. But why did he want to leave?
Because of the ambition of the football club. He wants to win. He wants to win. He's a winner. He wants to win. And I know, look, there's a lot of Arsenal fans out there that are against Robin van Persie. But at the end of the day, he can only tell his truth and he could put it out there whether you agree with it or not. The fact of the matter is, Arsenal were more into accumulating money than trying to win things. Let's put it right out there. All
right, great Gunnar Chapman. Yes, he is. Is Kevin going to judge this manager at the end of the season with the same energy?
100% great Gunnar Chapman. I've always said it's the players that will get this manager sacked. Now he's bringing in his own players. We're starting to see maybe a foundation. So let's see. And you know what? Here's the thing. I wonder if you could take Arteta going 9 years without a trophy. Would he survive, Sophie? 9 years of qualifying for Europe, but not winning a trophy. Another trophy. Would he survive? Would he? Enough. They'll be after his head. They'll be after his head. And I'm not saying it's the same as Arsene Wenger because of the first part of his career. He built up so much kudos. He was incredible. But the second half, you have to look at. And there's one more point I want to mention, Sophie, which I think is key here. For all the players that we sold, Arsene Wenger had problems with certain agents. Why? Why would a manager of Arsenal who should be thinking, I want to recruit the best players that I could possibly get, have problems with certain agents? So that means we're operating with one arm behind our back. Because if there's a player you like and he's managed or his agent is someone that you don't deal with, you can't sign him. That makes no sense to me.
So a lot of fans and Mr. Waffles, we're not siding with RVP. We're saying we understand why he left. And as a player, he had every right to leave. And he won the Premier League the very next season with Manchester United. He was vindicated. And he was injury prone for us a lot. We stood behind him 100%. But we loved RVP. And the same reasons Fabregas left, Cole left, he left, and all the other players I mentioned. And this thing about the agents, Kev, I've had a lot of people come at me saying that I've made assumptions about Wenger and money. If you don't think, do you know how much money Jose Mourinho has made from being fired at clubs? Why didn't he leave and go to Real Madrid or France or Barcelona? Because he knew he'd be sacked in a year if he didn't win a trophy. It was comfortable at Arsenal. He was pocketing millions every single year. I'm not making assumptions. I'm giving you my opinion that it became very comfortable for him. He owned the place. He was the Don. That doesn't mean I don't respect what he did. And I'm sorry. Stephen, thank you so much. This was the most humiliating. Why do you think it has taken years for us to restore our reputation in the transfer market? You guys who say he's not arrogant or whatever, the arrogance of the +1 where'd that come from? The Cronkies? Idiots as well, by the way, for hiring all the idiots they did for years, making all these bad contracts and shit deals with average players. Wenger's the one that could have signed N'Golo Kante and signed Xhaka. Wenger's the one that signed Vermaelen. Okay, Vermaelen different. Mustafi could have signed other defenders. And then you offer 40 million plus £1 for Suarez. What would Arsenal Football Club have been if we'd have signed Luis Suarez, who wanted to come to our club? We were humiliated to the point then where people think they could bully us in the transfer market. And only now, and you guys know how I felt Arteta sound like a broken record, are we restoring our reputation in the transfer market. Come on now. 40 million plus £1. It's just disgusting. Hey, Magic Mike, I love you both. I respect your opinions. This will never change. It doesn't understand the need to essentially cry over spilt milk. Well, then this is a show, Mike. It's called The Debate.
Listen, this is something that we have to speak about, because you were at the do the other day. These things keep coming up. So let's debate it.
And well said, Martin, the Gooners podcast. I think it's important to understand what really happened versus the story. He's been lauded all week. The film's come out. The book came out. So we can't do a show debating him, but everyone can go sit on seats at the Palladium and pay £200 and £500 and £1,000 for it. Come on, man. Really? There's a film that's come out, The Invincibles, which, by the way, is our greatest achievement ever.
Ever. 100%, hands down.
And the fact that he mapped that out is glorious. Please do not misconstrue the respect for all of his achievements versus what happened in the latter years. I can't keep explaining myself.
No, you don't have to, Soph. You don't have to.
So...
Sure, what's happening? Can't even hear her.
You can keep talking, Kev. I'm going to plug my mic back in. All right. I think this is good. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, I'm back. Here we go, Kev.
I think that your end. I just went out and come back just in case.
Yeah. We're good. Wenger did that, by the way. See, still a genius, isn't he? Right. There were 400 of you in live chat. 330 right now. Please hit. Can you hear me now? I know I'd make a fortune from that commercial. Kev.
Yeah. Come on, guys. You know what to do. You're in now. So before you leave, just hit that like button for us. This is a new show. It's The Debate. And you know what? All the comments are fine. Not the disgusting one, though. I didn't like that, Kenny. I didn't like that one because it's not disgusting. Anybody giving their opinion is fine. We cannot disagree. We can disagree that we don't understand it, we don't get it, etc. But to say stuff like that is not right. Sophie deserves to say her piece. I deserve to say my piece, and you deserve to say your piece, as all gooners do. But let's not go there with the disgusting stuff. Come on.
Well, I think I've read every single one out, Kev. I think this is going to go on for a little while longer. A very polarizing conversation. I love that, Craig. I'm Highbury Squad till I die. Hey, that's a new T-shirt maybe that we should look at doing. Daniel, fantastic debate. Keep up the great work, Sophie and KC. We're never afraid to talk about anything. And the comments were flying tonight so fast I could hardly catch up. Me too. So I'm reading the YouTube comments. I don't have a moderator. We
You're
do
in the
it all
chat.
we do it.
That's why you're the hostess with the mostest, so come on.
We just do it all on our own. That's how we like it here. And everyone gets their voice heard. There's never ever our show's always been driven by you guys, and you're part of us. You're an extension of us. And that's how we feel. Kev, how do you summarize all of this? Gunnar Russ is in the house. He left me some voicemails yesterday. I thought his head was going to explode when he was talking about Arsene Wenger, Super Kev, for the same reasons us. And, Gunnar Russ is a little older than some of the other fans as well. How do you summarize our first ever episode of the debate?
I think obviously it's been a really interesting topic. The greatest manager, the invincible, that is Arsene Wenger, revolutionized football in the country at top level, brought in some wonderful players, and we saw them develop, etc., at the football club. To be world class, Sophie. It gave us a swagger. It gave us that confidence when we went to games that we're going to do the business. But like I say, there's two sides to every coin, Sophie. And the flip side of the greatness, there are some chinks in Arsene Wenger's armor, which is why it's a debate to discuss. Because you know what? I wanted to be successful every season. I know we can't, but when you are as successful a manager as Arsene Wenger was, how did Sir Alex Ferguson? How was he so successful at Manchester United, and Arsene Wenger in the second part of the tenure wasn't? I understand there are some restrictions with money, etc., but we still spent money. So again, started winning FA Cups, and as we say, papers over cracks, etc. Yes, it did. And the squad was never the same. We never had that same feeling that we could push on, Soph. We could be the best team. We were trying to be the best. Getting in the Champions League and getting knocked out and slapped and everything is not what it's about. What's the point in getting in the Champions League if you're going to go in there and just get knocked out fast? So for all of the good, and the good does outweigh the bad, let's clear that up. There are still certain things that even the great manager that Arsene Wenger is could have got better, and that's why it's a debate for us tonight.
Exactly. And like Gunnar Russ says, Ferguson used to refresh his coaching staff. Wenger's stuck. That's the truth. And Bob, we love you. You love the Highbury squad, but today you felt disconnected. That's okay. We can disagree. It's okay. Just come back, and sometimes, we're not on the same page. As football fans, we're just not. And I have to just read one more message, Kev, because it is from Stephen Foote, who was the man that came out with the squaddie's name. And he keeps texting me, and he said, you didn't read my comment, and I found it finally. Mm-hmm. Hi, Sophie and Kevin. This is going to be long, so bear with me. It's not that long, not as long as the others. A supporter of this great club for nearly 57 years. I'd like to give my perspective on this. Arsene Wenger, he called him Arsenal Wenger, is most certainly our most successful manager by far. But how much greater would Herbert Chapman, the founding father of this great club we have today? I have no doubt that if the European Cup had been around, we would have won it multiple times. Yes, it was easier than only Italian clubs would have offered any resistance, and I'm sure he lived longer after a world war. He wouldn't have stopped our He would have stopped our domination, and Man United would be small fry. So as much as I admire and respect Wenger, he talks about Herbert Chapman. By the way, sometimes you guys write in riddles and it sounds like I can't read. So I'm reading as you write.
I'm trying to make it out, yeah.
I don't have time to correct that on a live show. His main point is the vast majority of supporters and fans are of a generation or two who have only known regular success, and this mainly led to the demise of Wenger. I personally have endured this pain and twice, and times there were very painful times. 17 to 18 years in between titles. Today's instant gratification generation are not happy if we don't win the next game, let alone a trophy. I love this club with a passion. That's what makes me a supporter. I know the podcast protractors from Wenger through to Arteta only want what is best for the club. I say be patient. Our turn is coming. This season is 17 years. So who knows what's next? We are the Arsenal.
Nice one. Nice one.
I had to read it out for Stephen.
Nice one, Stephen. Well said.
All right. An hour and 21 minutes, but it was worth it, I think, and the discussion. And I love all of you. And I hope that you have, this is what's wrong in the world today, right? Someone disagrees or someone says something, let's cancel them.
Mm-hmm. Cancel culture, forget it. Yeah. Not on here.
No. This is a football democracy. There's a reason why our tagline after every show is be part of the conversation, have your voice heard in our football democracy. That is what we believe, whether we agree or disagree. I've said enough. I'm going to let Super Kev have the last word. Tomorrow we return. Do you return tomorrow or no?
Kevin's thoughts. Yeah, yes. Kevin's thoughts, remember?
Right, fantastic. I already have a video for that,
yes,
which
Kevin's thoughts, yeah.
Kev, why don't you close for us? Thanks to everyone on my behalf. I appreciate every single one of you, whether you agree or disagree with me. Love the squaddies, love all the new people in chat, and thanks to all of our new subscribers who have joined as well.
So I will say thanks for everybody who left comments. Thanks for everybody who joined the chat. Thanks for everybody who participated. Thank you to the squaddies for always being there, that Arsenal community. And thank you to the Arsenal, because you know what? We debated our greatest ever manager. Good, bad, indifferent, whether you agree or disagree. That's why the show is called The Debate. Squaddies, have a good evening, and everybody take good care. We'll see you next time, which is tomorrow for Kevin's thoughts.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.